Welcome back to Billy Boogaloo. I am Billy Bass, and this is episode 3 of the Daily Boogaloo. And first, I'd like to shout out Yee Yee Apparel, Granger Smith. Love the guy. If I'm wearing a cool shirt, I'm usually going to show you guys until I have my own company, and I just wear my own shirts because money. Today, I'm going to talk about what you can do to bring yourself out of the funk. I lived in a funk for years, and I didn't even really realize it until I was out of the funk because, it's going to sound so douchey, but I was like the man growing up. Like, I was always with my friends, having fun, being a cool guy, skateboarding, surfing, playing baseball. And then after high school, friends went off to college, stopped playing ball. I was surfing mostly by myself with maybe a couple old friends. But I was like in a funk for years. I wasn't really happy. There's a lot missing from my life. And one of those things, and I'll talk about more of those things in the future, was a purpose with a job. I was working as a valet, doing lawn service, and mostly I was a locker room attendant and then manager at a country club, which was a cool college job. But I got to play golf all summer, once a week for free at a really, really nice golf course in South Florida where we have all the golf courses, right? But I was missing purpose, cleaning golf shoes, scrubbing toilets, vacuuming, just mindless tasks were not making me happy. And what did I have? I didn't work out back then. I just ate food, and I was never fat, but there is one Christmas picture with my mom. Like, my whole family takes a Christmas picture every year, and my mom has the longest wall you've ever seen of all Christmas pictures since the beginning of our family, right? And there's one I get to, and it was right at my breaking point. And I'm wearing a button-up shirt, and I can see my gut sticking out. I'm like, what is that, right? And I wasn't huge. I was what you would call skinny fat, right? And it's not like I saw that picture and I was like, oh, I'm pulling myself out. But I was working with my good friend, Chris Cozy, with Salt Dude, and he was going to EMT school. And he's like, hey, you ever thought about being a fireman? And I was like, I did in high school, but back then, in the late 2000s, there's a big hiring freeze because of the recession. And all my friends I worked with as a lifeguard in high school, they were a little older than me, trying to get hired, couldn't get hired. They had all their certifications, EMT, some were even medics, couldn't get hiring anywhere because there was a hiring freeze. My dad was a fireman. He's like, hey, Billy, you should be a fireman. It's a great job. And he never really pushed me past that because I was like, no, I knew better. I was 18. My dad was dumb, clearly. Or I could have listened to him from the start and be 10 years ahead in my life. But I wasted a lot of time. And thanks to my buddy, Chris Cozy, I was like, you know what? It does sound awesome. And I was still am 4 or 5 classes from my getting my bachelor's, and I was going to be a teacher, right? How lame. I would have drove me crazy being in a classroom all day with a bunch of kids that don't want to be there. But I wanted to coach baseball. That was kind of the point. So I decided to do it. And I'm not going to say the best decision of my life, but top 5. So if you're lacking purpose, I would say find something that brings out that manly fire in you. Sitting in a cubicle isn't going to do that unless you can get all that testosterone release, if that's a thing, on the weekends, which even me surfing all the time back then, I just wasn't fulfilled. So I'm going to just give you a case for firefighting. If you want to be a cop, that's great. I just think being cop's terrible. We need them, and if that's what you're called to do, awesome, dude. But be a good cop. I'm not saying good cop, bad cop. I'm saying there's cops that really just want to serve and protect, and there's other cops where it gets to their head and they're friggin' jerks, right? There's a reason why everyone loves firemen, and most people don't really like cops unless you're like a family member of a cop, right? Or you're just trying to be more patriotic or something. Um, like my mother-in-law got me a Yee shirt for Christmas with like the blue line flag, and I'm like, I can't wear this. I'm a fireman, dude. Like I totally support you guys, but I don't want to identify as one of you. Don't get me into identity jokes. Okay, I'm gonna breeze past that one before I get in trouble. So military is great, but you need to know what you're getting yourself into. I'm a huge fan of veterans and patriotic guys going to the military, but you need to be aware of who's in charge of you and what they're making you do, right? That's also a big thing with police officers. There's a book, I can't remember what it's called, but it's about like the police officers in Germany before World War II. And they were like best friends with their neighborhoods. And then they became the secret police and turned everybody in, right? So you need to realize tyranny before it happens. And we see this all over the world, from New Zealand and Australia, China, of course, like communists. But then in like Britain, you see these cops, they're just off their rocker, dude. Just full of like power hungriness. It's crazy. You gotta step back and realize what you're doing it for, right? Anyways, so I'll make a case, or whatever it is. If you like construction, dude, I've done some of that. Painting, tile work, a little bit of, I'm not an electrician, but I did some low voltage electrician for my buddy work, and all kind of stuff. You know, I'm a grown man. I've had my own house. I've fixed a million things. If you can make a good living with that, which you definitely can, and doing all that manly stuff, because that's all manly stuff, dude. You don't see any girly men freaking working up on whatever we call it, like making high rises. Do that too. But for me, becoming a fireman, serving the community, and taking my job seriously. A lot of fun, like this is like the two paths in fire. Well, there's like three. There's getting ate up. Being ate up is when like you're like fire, 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 and all you talk about is fire, and you're just like, oh my gosh, dude, you're gonna fight like 2 fires a year. Like, relax. And then there is kind of like me. I'm in the middle. I love firefighting, and I want to do my best at it, but it doesn't rule my life. And then there's like slugs, right? That's what we call them. My department doesn't have many. I'm a very heavy working department. We're very busy. We like to train. But there's a lot of departments where it's like guys get in, they get off probation, and then they get fat. And they just coast, right? They don't train. Don't be that guy. If you're going to go into service, you have to be self-motivated, because a lot of times I was at a station for 10 months with one of my good buddies, and it was a small station, just 3 of us, right? A lieutenant, me, and my buddy. And I could have just gotten fat, chilled, ate, whatever, watched movies all day. But I worked out every single day I was there, except for one day where I was sick as a dog and probably should have went home, but it was like late enough where I was like, I can stick it out through the night, and I did, and it was fine. But my point is, that crew weren't gonna like make me work out. My lieutenant, older dude, he would do his little workout, but it was like you know, walking around with a weight vest on and doing laps like that. And then my buddy would have never worked out if I didn't force him every shift. He'd be like, I'd be like, what are we doing? He's like, oh, right? And I don't think it works out since I'm not there anymore, right? Except for when he gets like a bug, an itch. So I'm going to talk way more about this. I'm coming up on 10 minutes, but find something that keeps you inspired to work hard and to become a man, to serve others, protect others. Don't think about yourself, except for do what you can to be a good example in health with your attitude for younger men and even older men, because there's a lot of older guys that are lost, right? And if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I'm not 25, can't be a fireman anymore. There's a guy in my recruit class who got hired at 51. He's kind of the exception to the rule because he was a PJ, he was a New York State state trooper, police officer, I can't remember which one. Awesome guy. But, you know, if you want to do a short 10-year career, like he probably will retire at like 61. He'll have like 3 or 4 pensions because he was in like multiple branches in the military and the police. You can do that too. So it's all about your capacity physically and mentally. Then again, one of my best friends in fire school, he was 33 when we were going through fire school, which was a few years ago. And he just started over with a new department. He got hired with one department kind of far from his house. Then he got hired with his dream department. He's, I don't know, in his mid to late 30s now. So, yeah. Good luck, guys. I'm going overtime. So, thanks. Bye.